Hey class, Prof. JC here. Today we're going to talk about a mental model that you actually know. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this because you would know this. I guarantee you've talked about this at some point in your life, but there's an actual name for it. It's called second and third order of consequences. Second and third order of consequences. I want to go ahead and open up my screen. I want to share my screen with you, and let's look at this issue of second and third order consequences. And again, we're back to our website, fs.blog. farnhamstreet.blog, I think that's what it means. And let's just read through this. It's a pretty short article, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on this today. We'll get to our question. Matter of fact, it says right up there, reading time is 3 minutes, so this is not going to take a long time. But this is a really important one, okay? Again, these mental models are there to help you think and make positive, good decisions. You are the sum of your choices. We've talked about that several times. You're the sum of your decisions. You're the sum of choices. You will continue to be. You know, for some of you, you might be in your 30s and 40s. For those of you in your 20s, you're going to look back one day, and when you get to 40, where you are is because of the choices you made. You know, I've said this before, that when people get to 18, 19, 20, a lot of times they don't have control over where they get at that point, right? There's things that happen, things in life, things. But we live in a country, the United States of America, where you can get that turned around. And if you're watching this, that means you're in a college class, right? You're in a university course, right? That means that you've made some real positive strides in life. So your decisions have gotten you here, but you got to understand the next 10, 20 years, your decisions are going to get you as well. That's why these mental models are so important. It gives us a better way to think outside of our emotions. So here we go. Things are not always as they appear. Often we solve one problem, we end up unintentionally creating another one that's even worse. The best way to examine the long-term consequence of our decision is to use second-order thinking. It's often easier to identify when people didn't adequately consider the second and subsequent order impacts. For example, consider a country that, wanting to inspire regime change in another country, funds and provides weapons to a group of moderate rebels. Only it turns out that those moderate rebels will become powerful and then go to war with the sponsoring country for decades. Whoops, right? So Ray Dalio, and I've talked about him on this podcast before, I think is phenomenal. His book Principles, it sits right here in my office. That's how important it is. It's constantly right next to me. He says it's failing to consider second and third order consequences is the cause of a lot of painfully bad decisions, and it is especially deadly when the first inferior option confirms your own biases. Never seize on the first available option, no matter how good it seems, before you've asked questions and explored. So what that's saying is, oftentimes what happens is we take the first option. We like it. It looks good. I mean, think about going to buy a car. I've done this before, right? I remember back when I was young and purchased cars. You buy the first one on the lot, and you don't think, you don't go to other places, you don't shop around. Today, it's even easier because we have online, right? But back in the day, you wouldn't do that, right? So, but this is saying the same here. Same for jobs, right? I know that there's some people who are looking to find jobs in the future. People who are looking to transition into different jobs in the future. The same thing happens for you, right? It's not seizing upon the first available option. It's saying what other options are out there, right? No matter how good it seems, and as it says, but ask questions and explore. And then once you've asked a lot of questions and explored, then go ahead and take it, right? But really think from a long-term perspective, second and third order consequences, what is really happening here, right? The ability to think through problems to the second, third, and nth order, right? That means go all the way out as far as you need to, right? If I make this decision today, what are all the consequences that are going to follow it, okay? Or what we will call second order thinking for short is a powerful tool that supercharges your thinking. I'll get to this chart a little bit later, okay? But let's just read about this just a little bit more, and then we'll come back to this chart. In his exceptional book, The Most Important Thing, Howard Marks explains the concept of second order thinking, which he called second level thinking. First level thinking is simplistic and superficial. Just about everyone can do it. A bad sign for anything involving an attempt at superiority, right? All the first level thinker needs is an opinion about the future, as in the outlook for the company is favorable, meaning the stock will go up. Second level thinking is deep, complex, and convoluted. Same with third, fourth, fifth, right? First order thinking is fast and easy. It happens when we look for something that only solves the immediate problem without considering the consequences. For example, you can think of this as I'm hungry, so let's eat a chocolate bar. Okay, that's first order thinking. I'm hungry, so let's have Chick-fil-A. I'm hungry, so let me have Burger King. I'm hungry, let me have McDonald's. Second order thinking is more deliberate. It is thinking in terms of interactions and time, understanding that despite our intentions, our interventions often cause harm. Second order thinkers ask themselves the question, and then what? So I'm hungry, I want Chick-fil-A, and then what? Okay, I eat Chick-fil-A, and then what? Well, I start getting in the habit of eating Chick-fil-A when I'm hungry, and then I start gaining weight, and then what? I feel bad about myself, and then what? I'm not able to run that marathon I want to run, and then what? I feel even worse about myself, and then what? I'll eat more, right? Just you begin to think deeper. Now, that's something simple, but we can obviously apply this to organizational and business thinking. This and leadership thinking. This means thinking about the consequences of repeatedly eating a chocolate bar when you are hungry and using that to inform your decision. If you do this, you're more likely to eat something healthy, right? First level thinking looks similar. Everyone reaches the same conclusions. This is where things get interesting. The road to outthinking people can come from the road to outthinking people can't come from first order thinking. So if all you do is think on the first order, you're never going to outthink other people. You're never going to be competitive. You're always going to be either in the same place as everyone else, or you're going to be behind everyone else because you're thinking the same way, right? That's why these mental models are so important, to help all of us think better than the other people around us. Our thinking is what leads to our successes, our decisions, right? Or I guess I should say your thinking leads to your decisions. Your decisions lead to whether or not you live a successful or unsuccessful life, right? Sorry about that. It's my wife on the phone. I got to get off this call soon so I can take that call here with her. Extraordinary performance comes from seeing things that other people can't. Okay, so odds of success. Okay, and it gives a little chart there. So let's read this. Improve your ability to think. Here are 3 ways you can use to put second order thinking into practice today. Ask yourself, and then what? Anytime. Okay, here's what I want to do, and then what? Okay, I'll do this, and then what? And I'll do this, and then what? Number 2, think through time. What do consequences look like in 10 minutes? What about 10 months, 10 years? Look, I've done that before when it comes to, I was kind of joking, but that whole Chick-fil-A thing, right? The consequences after I buy it, after 10 minutes, I feel like, man, I just wasted $20, $24, $25 on a couple sandwiches and some fries that I didn't really need. That $25 could have gone somewhere else. In 10 months, I don't know if it's still there, but if I keep making that decision in 10 months, now I've spent $250, right? Or more, $500, and working that I've gone, that's like a room at a vacation for 2 nights or something like that, right? I could have done that instead of eating those sandwiches, right? And what about in 10 years if I continue to make this decision? Where am I at in 10 years? Overweight and unhappy, maybe, right? Or I'm unhealthy and happy. Maybe I should say that I'm unhealthy and I'm unhappy. So that helps us to think through. Create templates like the second image above, first, second, and third order consequences. Identify your decision and think through and write down the consequences. If you write these regularly, you'll be able to help calibrate your own thinking. And we'll get to that here in a second. And the bonus one says this: if you're using this to think about business decisions, ask yourself how important parts of the ecosystem are likely to respond. How will employees deal with this? What will my competitors likely do? What will my suppliers do? What about regulators? Often the answers will be little to no impact, but you want to understand the immediate and second order consequences before you make the decision. So again, it's just thinking through. So let's go to that chart right here. I think I've opened it up over here, so you can kind of see how this looks. Oops, let's get back here. Okay, so first order consequences A. Let's go back to the Chick-fil-A. A, I'm hungry. I'm going to eat Chick-fil-A. That's green right there. Well, what are the second order consequences of that? Well, it could be. I mean, they may not all be red. Some of the second order consequences are, hey, I'm gonna feel satiated. I'm gonna feel full. But it also means that I'm not going to feel great. Like McDonald's, for instance, my daughters love to eat that, so we get that every now and then. But I always feel like absolute crap after I eat McDonald's. I don't know if you're the same way, but that's how I feel. And so right there, second order is just like, I don't feel good at all, right? First order, or I guess the first order consequences are right there, right? So I feel satiated. But then the second order, I don't feel good. I feel a little bit mad that I spent money I shouldn't have, blah, blah, blah. And then third order, it just keeps going. So when we stop on every decision and we say, but again, there might be times we're right there in the moment. So the first order consequences could be like, I really want that that Chick-fil-A or that McDonald's, I decide not to get it. First order, consequences. I'm still hungry. But now second order is, well, then I go home, I save money, I eat something healthier at home, and I feel good about myself the next day I get up because I've saved money, I didn't give in to my urge. And then the other consequences, I feel better at the gym the next day. I'm creating better habits. I'm learning how to say no to myself. So it just keeps getting better. So often, if we look at just the first order consequences, well, I'm hungry, I'm not hungry. So I make a decision, now I'm not hungry, but now here are all the other consequences. Well, now I'm still hungry, but look at the great consequences that have come from this. Again, this is very simple the way I'm doing it, but the point of this whole exercise here is to think through your choices and to think through what are the decisions I'm going to make. And again, you can take this out to third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh order. And again, I love that question. How am I going to feel about this decision? Or what are the consequences going to be of the decision in 10 minutes, 10 months, 10 years, right? Now, again, the bigger ones, that's where it's going to play out. You're dating someone, you're starting to see some red flags, but you're kind of lonely, right? So you make the first order consequence, I'm going to stay with this person. But then the second and third order, they don't look good, right? You start looking at 10 months, you start looking at 10 years, and you realize these same things that are red flags right now are going to be major red flags, and they're going to lead to divorce. I'm going to be in divorce court. I'm going to lose a whole bunch of money. I'm going to have a broken family. I don't want any of that. So you come all the way back and say, even though I'm lonely right now, I know it's better that I be lonely than make this decision. So I got to cut this relationship off, right? Or the other one is like you make the first order consequences. This person's showing a lot of red flags, but I'm really lonely, so this is going to hurt. And so you make the decision. First order consequences is it hurts. And now you got 6 more months. You're all by yourself. You got to grieve this. You got to go through this whole thing. But then second order, you meet someone else better in 6 months, 10 months, a year from now. Third order, you have great kids. You meet someone, the right person this time. And so you get what I'm saying, right? It's thinking through every decision and making decisions based on second, third, fourth, fifth order consequences versus just that first order, right? That's what we're saying. Move away from first level thinking. Move away from first level thinking and always be thinking about second, third order consequences. So here's the question I have for you today. When is the time that you made a first order decision and it didn't work out for you? Okay. And when's the time that you really thought through second, third order of consequences and it really helped you in the situation? So tell me about a time that you made you were at first level thinking, you made a decision and it didn't work out for you very well. But then tell me about a time that you really made a first order decision or first order consequence, right? And you begin to think second, third order, and it actually worked out extremely well for you. Okay. I can't wait to read more about what you have to say. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.